Episode 1, Dating Woes and Joys.
Dating can be simultaneously the best and worst thing that can happen to you. I mean, on one hand, you get to experience the rush of a new connection and the thrill of discovering someone who makes your heart skip a beat. On the other hand, you also get to experience the agony of awkward first dates, ghosting, and the existential dread that comes with swiping through endless profiles on dating apps. And let's talk about dating apps, shall we? They're like a virtual candy store, full of all sorts of tempting treats, but the thing is, you're not really sure what you're getting until you take a bite. Sometimes it's sweet, sometimes it's sour, and sometimes it's just downright stale. Personally, I've had my fair share of experiences on dating apps. I once matched with a guy who seemed like the perfect package: good looks, great job, and a witty sense of humor. We hit it off immediately and made plans to meet up. But when we finally met in person, I realized that he had used pictures that were at least 5 years old. Needless to say, the package was not as advertised. And then there's the struggle of coming up with the perfect first date idea. You want to do something that's fun, but not too cheesy. Something that's romantic, but not too cliché. My go-to move is usually dinner and a movie, but even that can be a disaster if you pick the wrong movie. I once took a girl to see a horror movie on our first date, and let's just say that the only thing that was scary was how fast she ran out of the theater. But despite all the struggles, dating can also be incredibly rewarding. There's nothing quite like the feeling of finding someone who truly understands you and makes you feel like the best version of yourself. And even if it doesn't work out, at least you'll have some great stories to tell. So keep swiping, keep matching, and keep believing that the perfect match is out there somewhere. And if all else fails, there's always Netflix and ice cream. Oh, dating. The one activity that everyone loves to hate. It's like a roller coaster ride, with its ups and downs, twists and turns, and occasional moments of sheer terror. But hey, at least you get to sit next to someone on the ride. One thing I've learned about dating is that it's all about expectations. We go into it expecting to find our soulmate, our knight in shining armor, or our damsel in distress. But more often than not, we end up with a frog instead of a prince, or a witch instead of a princess. And that's when the real struggle begins. I remember once I went on a date with a guy who seemed perfect on paper. He was handsome, charming, and had a great job. But as soon as we sat down for dinner, he started talking about his ex-girlfriend. And I don't mean a passing reference or a funny anecdote. I mean he talked about her for an hour straight. By the end of the meal, I knew her entire life story, from her favorite color to her childhood pet. Needless to say, there wasn't a second date. And then there's the joy of finding someone you really connect with. There's that feeling of butterflies in your stomach, the rush of excitement every time you get a text message from them, and the anticipation of seeing them again. It's like being on a perpetual high, and it's a feeling that's hard to replicate. But then reality sets in, and you realize that maybe they're not as perfect as you thought. Maybe they snore in their sleep, or they have weird habits that drive you crazy. Or maybe they just don't like the same TV shows as you do. And suddenly, that high starts to wear off. The truth is, dating is a journey. It's a process of discovery, where you learn as much about yourself as you do about the other person. It's a roller coaster ride, with its ups and downs, but ultimately it's worth it. Because even if you end up with a few frogs along the way, you might just find your prince or princess in the end. And isn't that what we're all looking for? Alright, folks, let's talk about dating. Or as I like to call it, the world's most frustrating game of hide and seek. You see, dating can be a real roller coaster ride. One minute you're on top of the world, feeling like you've found the one, and the next minute you're crying into a tub of ice cream wondering what the hell just happened. Dating is a constant battle between your heart and your brain. Your heart says, go for it, take a chance, while your brain is like, wait a minute, let's think this through. And let's not forget about the apps. Dating apps are like a virtual minefield. You're swiping left, swiping right, and suddenly you're matched with someone who looks like they're straight out of a horror movie. And then there are the actual dates. You show up, trying to look your best, but you're nervous as hell. You're wondering if your breath stinks, if you have anything in your teeth, or if you accidentally left a tag on your shirt. And then there's the conversation. What do you even talk about? Do you mention your ex? Do you bring up politics? Do you talk about your weird obsession with cat videos? But let's not forget about the good stuff. The excitement of meeting someone new, the thrill of a first kiss, the feeling of falling in love. Personally, I've had my fair share of dating disasters. I once went on a date with a guy who spent the entire time talking about his cat's diet. Another time, I accidentally spilled red wine all over my date's white shirt. Suffice it to say, there was no second date. But hey, that's just the joys and struggles of dating. It's like Forrest Gump's box of chocolates, you never know what you're gonna get. But hey, I'm not giving up. I'm still out there swiping, chatting, and hoping that one day I'll find my lobster.
And that wraps up another laughter-filled episode of Not So Funny A. If you enjoyed the jokes generated by our AI algorithms, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join our comedy-loving community.